So, I have just read Kate Daniels' books 1 through 7, and I think this is going to be my most disorganized review yet. At least my outline for this one is substantially less good than usual because I don't know how to put my thoughts in order about this series. I feel like they're a little scattered, but I'm gonna do my best and we're going to have a wild ride dissecting books 1 through 7 of the Kate Daniels series. Okay, let's go. For those of you who are unaware, as I was a few weeks ago, the Kate Daniels series is an urban fantasy series that takes place in Atlanta. In this series, the world has gone through a terrible / wonderful change where magic has come back. And when magic is thriving and operating, technology doesn't work. Good luck, electricity. And the world is way off kilter where magic comes and goes in waves. So one second you can be doing magical spells and the next second you can't, but your car works now. And honestly, I wish this played more of a role in the plot. Because it's a fun world setting, and sometimes it does up the stakes when you really need the magic and the magic is down, or when you really need the technology and the technology is down. But I feel like it wasn't really taken to its full potential. Like, people don't die because they can't get the medical magic that they need. It just, plot happens, it's okay, whatever. It feels like this world should be more chaotic than it actually is. And maybe this is just a testament to how good humanity adapts, because this has been their world for decades at this point. But still, it's just kind of... But something that I really appreciated about the world building is something that I've been thinking about a lot, which is, parallel to our own world, phones. According to a video I watched on YouTube a few years ago, and I've now forgotten everything about it except this fact, once upon a time, people prioritized answering their phone. They would stop like anything to answer the home phone because you didn't know who exactly was calling, how to call them back. It was like, this is due now or never. But nowadays, people let things go to voicemail all the time, oh whatever. But in the Kate Daniels series, it's much more, you answer the phone when it rings, which makes sense because the phones are pretty unreliable and it might be now or never kind of thing, and cell phones are non-existent. And I did like those little details of world building that seems to fit the world pretty well. So now, what did I think of Kate herself? I've got some thoughts here. Kate is incredibly stubborn, strong-willed, etc., etc., and that is truly entertaining to read on the page, especially because I feel like Kate more identifies as the stubborn, strong-willed, always have a quip at the ready person than she actually is. In that she's always expecting herself to come up with a quip, like, come on, I gotta say something smart back. And then sometimes she completely fails, but still says something because she doesn't want to look completely stupid, and then just looks kind of stupider from her comeback. And that kind of awkward dynamic is entertaining to me. I like it. And Kate is a great mix of the stereotypical, like, strong female protagonist, I can do anything, sword fighting, yeah, go! I'm not that good at expressing my feelings, and also just, like, the caring, feminine, ideal, whatever. Because though she is totally, like, ninja-level sword fighter, and is also bad at kind of expressing her feelings, I feel like she has some more depth to her than that. And the depth, I think, comes from her relationship with that strong female protagonist stereotype. Because she wants to be strong because it makes her feel secure inside, because she's full of these insecurities about people finding out that maybe she's not as strong as she is, which would put her in trouble. She's scared of letting people into her emotional vulnerability because they might take advantage of her, which has happened to her in the past and which her adoptive father figure warned her of again and again and again. So, Kate, well-rounded character, all good. But I want to talk about this one realm of her narration, which I found very entertaining and interesting. I don't know if I really enjoyed it, but like, it was something fun to think about, which is the female gaze. Like the male gaze, but from a girl's perspective. When I was reading this, it reminded me so strongly of the male gaze in the Dresden Files series, which is a series I love, but the male gaze parts I love not so much. One of these days I'll actually make a video on that. And if we go over to that urban fantasy series with a stubborn, quippy protagonist, which is a man written by a man, what are the signs of the male gaze? Well, most of the female characters are described in a sexual way. There are next to no unattractive female characters. Oftentimes they're throwing themselves at Dresden, and then it's shown as his, moral strength to be refusing them But of course, they all love him because, you know, he's the strong man, whatever. And our male gaziness is lusting after various characters, and it's also seen as a moral strength for him to overcome the temptation of refusing someone's advances on him. And then we have the Kate Daniels series with a female protagonist, and all of these same things happen, but gender swapped. 99% of the guys described in these books are handsome. Like, every time. All of them, in their own way, but like, even the ones that Kate has no romantic interest in describes them as handsome. And honestly, it's a little comical once you see how prevalent it is. And I don't know, even though most of the male characters in these books are kind of presented in at least some way as a sex object, I feel like they also get their own well-rounded personality and agency and whatever, and it's not a super big problem. But it was kind of interesting once I noticed it, because it definitely feels like a gender-swapped version of all the male gaze I've seen in other books. So before I move on to the next big-ticket item, which is of course the romance between Kate and Curran, I would like to discuss a little bit the mystery about Kate's ancestry / her dealing with all that stuff. I would like to say that this mystery surrounding Kate's bloodline and what was up with that was very well done, with the little hints as we got throughout the books until finally it was revealed, and then it was reminded to us at the beginning and the middle and the end of every single book, reminding us of the thing that was... Okay, the point is, I binged these books and they have a very, very high number of reminding the audience of facts that they already know from previous books but may have forgotten between books, and it got too much. I feel like there's a good and necessary amount of audience reminding that needs to happen. This book has too much. But getting back on track, the mystery was well done in the first few books. It was fun to try to figure that out. I'm about to spoil it for you. I don't think it's a very big deal. That Kate's long-lost father is the big bad of the series, Roland. What I find fascinating about their relationship is that Kate was raised with the purpose of killing Roland. This was driven into her from when she was a little kid, that we're going to train you so you can fight Roland real good. And now she's an adult and she's slowly coming closer and closer into Roland's orbit, and when they collide, what's gonna happen? Is Kate strong enough to kill her father? Not really, which further complicates the decision because trying to kill him is a bad one. But what I find fascinating about this mystery and this conflict is the way it deals with the theme of lies and misdirection and misinformation. Because Kate has been raised on the knowledge that Roland is a bad guy who deserves to die, and it is her moral duty to kill him. But is this the truth? We'll get into more of this in a minute with Curran, but bringing in the example of misdirection and lies with her relationship with Curran, for a while she is under the assumption that he is a total playboy and is always having all of these flings and girlfriends, and then he doesn't care about them after. And well, there is some basis in truth of the number of girlfriends he's had, but also the truth is he does respect those partners and doesn't see them as just trash, whatever, get a new one. And yet, Kate jumps to the conclusion that this is kind of how he sees his romantic partners for a while, and this causes various conflict in their relationship, etc., etc. And then we can see a parallel thing happening with Kate and her father, where she has been fed all this information that he is like the big bad. He is the Darth Vader of the universe. But you know, Darth Vader also had kind of a good side. That yes, Roland does have his terrible torture and murder tower, but how many people is he really putting into it, you know? And yeah, he took over the entire Midwest, but is he really that bad of a ruler over there? And I would love to get this explored more as Kate decides if she really does have this moral duty or not to defeat him, because that confrontation is coming in a future book. We kind of got it in book 7, but it wasn't a big one. And you know that's just postponed. Because there's also the side to Roland that we get to see in book 7 that was never given to us in the narrative that Kate was fed, which is he seems to have genuine fatherly interest in getting to know her. She was fed the narrative that he just wanted to kill her and hated the fact that she was ever born. But then we actually meet Roland and he's a little bit like, so this is your husband? This is your boyfriend? Oh, I want to meet him. Oh, this is your new house? I like it. Here's a housewarming gift. He is pretty threatening, but also he just kind of wants to be a father. And we'll see how that plays out. And that's like a good mystery and ongoing tension, but I also want to talk about the little mysteries in every book. And this was definitely worse in the first few books, and then it got better as the series went on. Which is, some of the books tried to be kind of mystery adventure novels, and I never really felt like the mystery part works very well. Like, the laying down of clues was not enough to really solve the mystery. When the answer to the mystery was finally revealed, I was usually just confused. Which is annoying, because you should understand the mystery when it's being revealed to you, right? But the plots just got so convoluted, and there were never, like, enough clues placed in the right places for me to even kind of figure it out, and it was annoying. But as the series progresses, things get a little less mystery and a little bit more just action-adventure, and I think that's where the series more shines. And so now we come to the hot topic of Kate and Curran's romance, which is at times problematic, especially in the first few books. Because Curran, Mr. Lion Shapeshifter, is obviously endgame. There is a lion on every single cover of this book series. I knew from the beginning that Curran would be the main love interest, and at times I do kind of ship Kate and Curran. I think that they make an awesome power couple. However, their dynamic sometimes makes me incredibly uncomfortable, especially in the first few books. And honestly, I think it's a little clever that this slightly abusive power dynamic is kind of down to cultural differences. Because Curran is coming from shapeshifter culture, which is explained to us over the course of a few books, has different courtship expectations than normal human culture. Because in shapeshifter culture, if you're into a person, how you flirt is you break into their house and mess with things. So when Curran declares to Kate near the beginning of the series that he is going to continue pursuing her no matter how many times he says no until she thanks him for his services in bed, etc., to him that's good flirting. To Kate, and to me, the reader, it was, what? What do you think you're entitled to? Excuse you. I wasn't really okay with this burgeoning romance and flirting until I found a nice collection of short stories from Curran's perspective, which I think really helps me internalize, like, this is just like a cultural expectations thing. Because in his own thoughts, he's much more respectful towards Kate than his actions would lead you to believe. It's like the difference of culture of that Curran is very into consent. He wants her consent before they passionately make out, and when she says no, he immediately stops and backs off. But he doesn't care about consent, about like breaking into her apartment. No, don't be silly. And I think as Kate and as me, the reader, came to understand Curran's perspective a little bit better, this romance became funner. It definitely improved once they actually became a couple and we could leave behind all of this weird power dynamic, flirting, abusive, whatever, stalker behavior. I did find the conflict between them before they got together a little interesting because obviously Curran was 100% I love you and want you, Kate. And Kate was a little bit like, I also love you and want you, but I'm emotionally closed off and traumatized and etc. Doesn't want to be in a relationship. And then slowly they become the power couple that they were always destined to be as per prescribed by all the book covers, and that's the dynamic that I like the most. At this point, they are both ready to leave everything behind to protect each other, to help each other, to stay with each other, and it's kind of a cute dynamic and it's fun, and I like Curran as of book 7. Was he a relationship idiot in the book with the European castle? Yes. But also that source of relationship conflict was actually pretty fun to read about, and so he is forgiven. And finally, some notes, ending with my most important theory and idea, and hopefully all of the ones in the middle are also entertaining. I love Kate's arc of slowly becoming her own boss and starting her own investigation / murdering / bodyguard business. I think it really fits her, and I like the autonomy. Also, I like the autonomy of like everyone in these books. That they really do all feel like they have their own individual motivations and power to choose and power to be their own person, and no one really feels like a complete pawn. But the character of Dr. Dolittle, yes, that is the name, is a good one and interesting in himself. I don't like the way he serves the narrative of completely devaluing all injuries. Someone gets hurt, whatever, just bring him to Dolittle, he'll patch him up, perfect, magic, whatever. Like, I want to see some actual consequences when you get stabbed 7 times. Excuse you. You don't get to just walk away from that. How strong is your plot armor? I want to see an important character die because they were injured when the magic was down and Dolittle couldn't heal them. Another piece of this narrative puzzle that I felt like wasn't used the best was Julie, Kate's kind of adoptive daughter. Because when Kate acquired Julie, it did not significantly shake up the way that these books went, because she shuffled her off to boarding school, and I felt like that was a wasted opportunity, because Julie could be a major player in a lot more of these books. Which she was, in the one with the magic bomb thing. But I would have enjoyed her playing that kind of major role in all of them, and hopefully not in a coma. You know, like, come on, let's get some more Julie in here. She's an interesting character, and yet the promise of that interestingness has not yet really been fulfilled, I feel like. And finally, my greatest hope for this series, which is a theory that I have formulated, which I don't actually think is gonna come true, but come on, this would be so cool. It has been established in these books that the animals can kind of become human wares, much like a person could become a were-dog. And so I would love this to happen to Grendel, because then Grendel could be a more active character who could actually talk, and that would be very interesting, and I just want more of, like, fun animal companions, please. I'm aware this is incredibly unlikely to happen because Grendel already has his own magic as a dog, and probably that would mess with the shapeshifterness, but a girl can dream, right? Hey, and if you're interested in buying shirts and other merch from various fandoms, head on over to my store. There's a link in the description. I've just made some awesome Kate Daniels designs that I'm particularly happy with. And hey, if you made it to the end of the video, comment with a lion emoji, of course, what else? We gotta follow those book covers. And thank you for watching.